Hey everyone, True Blue here, and if you haven't seen, this is the third episode in my series where I'm going through all the Smash fighters in Smash Ultimate and replacing their ults with more references if the ults that already exist just, for some reason, just not doing it for me. I already did the 64 roster and the Melee roster along with the clothes related to those characters. You can check those videos out, of course, but I'm just going to hop right into it because there's a lot of characters in Brawl. So first up, we have Meta Knight. Now, Meta Knight's an interesting newcomer because it's a Kirby character. And if you haven't seen the first video, you would know that Kirby had a phenomenal set, in my opinion, of alternate outfits. Meta Knight, on the other hand, doesn't follow that trend. So we have his standard appearance, then the next three outfits, the white, red, and green, all take some form of characteristic from the Air Ride multiplayer outfits, since there's some alternate costumes, sort of, for Meta Knight. We have one based off his classic design, more of sort of the art than like the in-game sprite. Also, his eyes are just red for some reason. We have another one based off Air Ride, but it also looks like Kirby. Then we have Galactic Knight and Dark Meta Knight, other characters that are very similar to Meta Knight in design and nature. I want to keep the last four. I like having, of course, Galactic Knight and Dark Meta Knight. The classic NES design is great, and while usually taking ults from some games, it depends. In this case, I'm okay with it because, one, there's not many appearances where Meta Knight actually has multiple color variants, so Kirby Air Ride is one of the exceptions, and it goes with the fact that Kirby himself has a alt that looks like Meta Knight, so this one matching Kirby actually works really well. For new alts, for one, we're taking Morpho Knight from Star Allies, and Morpho Knight itself is actually a beta design of Meta Knight. On top of that, we have Mecha Knight from Planet Robobot. While it's not too crazy, because like I doubt they would put like the missiles and stuff, it is still a different design technically character, but that's a whole other topic. And lastly, we have Fancy Meta Knight, Unmasked Meta Knight, whatever you want to call it. I just think it's adorable, and I love to see him with a little top hat. I'm just a sucker for characters with fun, fancy outfits that typically aren't fancy, and this is one of those cases. Well, Kid Icarus was not made by Sakurai, Uprising was, and everything about Pit in the Smash series is from Uprising. But there are some references to the classic games. For one, we have his normal design, which itself is based off Uprising, a Smash original, then a red, green, and blue based off of different equipables, I believe, from the original NES. I'm not that familiar with that game. Then we have a Dark Pit alt, one based off of actual depicted angels in real life, and then a pink alt, which I believe used to have a reference, not sure. We're going to keep the ones based off the original NES game, because those are deep cut references that I really like, but we are going to remove the Smash original, the one based off of something in real life, and Dark Pit's in the game. They're clone characters for a reason. They're so similar design-wise. Having a Dark Pit variant of Pit when Dark Pit is a separate character is just so dumb. While it is funny conceptually, I don't want that. We're going all over the place because there is a bit more to the Kid Icarus franchise than you might think. For one, back in like Melee, we saw this trophy of like a modern version of what classic Pit, NES Pit would look like. Very much more cartoony, fit more of the older art style that the original Kid Icarus was going for. I think having an alt that completely redoes his face, at least, would be really sick, and just giving us this more cartoony classic Pit. On top of that, we have from the multiplayer of Uprising. Yes, Uprising did have multiplayer. They have like these guards, knights, whatever. They just are excuses for other people to be playing with the same movesets as Pit or Dark Pit. And this is like the Pit version of like an ally, one of them. So having Pit either take on that color scheme or get armor bits based off of that would be really sick. Then I want to have a green monochromatic color, like have the Kirby and King Dedede have, based off of Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters, the Game Boy game. Yes, there is actually 3 Kid Icarus games, the NES, the Game Boy, and 3DS one. The Game Boy one is not talked about often, but it is a thing that exists, so a reference to a very deep cut game. Would love that. And lastly, since it's no longer his Final Smash, because in Smash Ultimate it is the Lightning Chariot, his Smash 4 Final Smash was the 3 Sacred Treasures. So since that was gone, I think we should reuse that model and give it as an alternate costume. Next is Dark Pit. And since Dark Pit doesn't have as much to go with in terms of his actual character. They referenced other characters from the game, specifically Uprising, because again, that's Sakurai's game. So we have his standard design, a green one based off of, I believe, Thanatos, this darker one with red highlights based off of, God, I feel bad I don't remember his name because I really like that character. Smash Original, one based off of Twin Bellows, another Smash Original, one based off of Pit, that goes alongside the Dark Pit version of normal Pit, and a purple highlighted one, which seems to be referencing the Eggplant Wizard, a very infamous character or villain in the Kid Icarus series. I think we're just going to go all in with the whole referencing other characters, so let's remove the ones that aren't referencing, and Pit doesn't count, because I already went over this debate. Instead, Hades, I believe this is the first boss of Kid Icarus Uprising as well, like the Dark Lord, I don't remember his actual name, and if Pit's getting an ult where it's kind of like the allies of the multiplayer mode, there is a version for Dark Pit, of course, so getting that color scheme as well would be really sick. Alright, Zero Suit Samus. Now, I didn't realize Samus had so many casual outfits, but apparently they do exist. So we have her normal suit, starting from, I believe, Other M onwards. Then we have the version that appears in Metroid Prime 2 for like one cutscene, and is a darker shade of blue. Yes! That is the inspiration, and you know what? I think that's fine. I know it's probably just a graphical thing because you're working with GameCube, but whatever. It's a darker blue. We have her classic leotard from the NES. We have what seems to be based off of a black outfit from, I believe, Super Metroid, which is weird because you have two others that have that same kind of body shape of just like the top and the bottom with like no midsection, but I guess we covered her fully. I don't know, it just feels like they could have used the other one for reference, but I'm fine with her being fully covered. I actually like it better this way. Hot take. A Smash Original, then a white one based off of concept art from, I believe, Fusion, and her casual orange and blue wear from various artwork we've seen. So since everything actually is a reference, I would say it's perfect, but there's a Smash Original, so let's get rid of that and replace it with her military attire. Next is Wario. And Wario is interesting because his alts kind of come in pairs, where you have his WarioWare appearance and his normal overall attire, each one kind of having similar colors to match with, but they're a bit different. It's weird, but I tried my best to kind of work with the whole, there's a Wario and a WarioWare version. Of course, we have his standard WarioWare appearance, his biker outfit, then we have Wario in his classic overalls. We have one based off of the Player 3 or Red Team, I don't know, from one of the Wario games, one based off of Mario's color scheme, a Smash Original, one based off Mario's appearance on the arcade version of Mario Bros, another Smash Original, and one based off of Mario's appearance in Wrecking Crew. Let's get rid of all the things Mario related in Smash Original and get Wario references. For crying out loud, he has a game called Master of Disguise. I'm not kidding. So my goal here was to take the 3 other overall outfits and get something that could be colored over for them, and 2 WarioWare things. So we have one, a Mario Golf alternate, very different color scheme. Then if we had one based off of Devil, Wario, and Lizard, Godzilla, I don't know what Wario that's supposed to be, but it's fun artwork. This would be the overalls, of course. Then for WarioWare, we had one where he has his little suit and his vacation outfit. Honestly, all the different outfits Wario's worn throughout WarioWare could be good inspiration. A lot of games also have different color palettes for the standard biker outfit that they could pull from, which they didn't. So I'm going to leave it relatively open for Wario because there is a lot of inspiration they could take, but this is just what I put out there. Next is Snake. Now, being the first third-party character, you'd think they'd go a bit harder with it since, again, third-party, but most of these came from the same game. So you have his standard appearance from Metal Gear Solid 2, we have his older appearance from 4, and every other alt comes from Snake Eater, the third game. But they all are actual outfits he has worn throughout the series at different points, and that's good enough for me. I'm no expert on Metal Gear, and I do appreciate the fact that they cover so many different outfits that he actually has worn. While they could have referenced other characters, they did pull from this character and the source material, so they did exactly what I wanted at least, so I'm okay with it. Next is Ike, who has one of the coolest things they've done in Smash, and take both his appearance from when he was younger, which was his Smash Brawl incarnation, and his buff appearance from Smash 4. Since they referenced two different eras of games at different points, they put it all in one character. I wish more characters had this fun aspect. The Lynx definitely could use it, but as it stands, Ike's really the only one that fully utilizes this fact. But we have his standard appearance from Path of Radiance, then his standard appearance from Radiant Dawn, a custom alt, one based off of the enemy's color. We have one from the allied mode of one of the games, but it is actually a proper color palette swap from one of the games, so that's fine. One based off the character, one based off the character, one based off of the main rival to Ike. So I'm saying what I do for all the other Fire Emblem characters. Let's get rid of the ones that either reference other characters or don't have references at all. I will be keeping the one based off his main rival since they're so heavily entwined. For crying out loud, it is an assist trophy in Smash. So here are the fun alts I found for Ike from Fire Emblem Heroes. We have this flowery one, I think. I don't know. We have purple aura farming one. That one's really sick. We have Royal Knight, Holy Knight. I don't know. I like the blue accents. And we have Desert Ike. That is what it was actually called. It's like Desert Ike. And it's like, huh, fun. And Pokemon Trainer. Oh boy, Pokemon Trainer. Here's the issue when discussing this, is you have 4 characters to talk about. While 3 are only playable, Pokemon Trainer in the background does have different alternate outfits. So I'm going to go through all of them first. I'm going to say what works, what doesn't work, and what they should have done. It is right there in front of them. So based off of Gen 1, we have the main trio of Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard. Based off of the Gen 1 stars, of course, with their trainer Red. They have an alternate outfit with Leaf, the Fire Red Leaf Green girl character, and her Pokemon are what looks to be like a Gen 2 styled Ivysaur, a Squirtle colored after War Turtle, and a Charizard colored after Charmeleon. Then, moving onwards, the outfits alternate between the male and female from the following games of Gen 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just 7. Didn't get to 8. 8 was not out during Smash Ultimate yet. So we have Ethan or Gold with a Ivysaur that seems to be colored after a Bulbasaur, bit of a stretch, and then a Squirtle that looks shiny with a Smash Original Charizard. Then we have May from Emerald with completely Smash Original versions of Pokemon. We have Lucas from Diamond and Pearl with a shiny Ivysaur, a Gen 2 styled Squirtle, and a what looks to be based off of shiny Charmeleon with gold. Then we have Hilda from Black and White with a Gen 1 colored sprite. I believe this was from when you played Pokemon Red and Blue on the Game Boy Player, or Pokemon Stadium on N64. Very specific, I know. And then Charizard is colored after Aerodactyl, sure. We have Callum from X and Y. The only costume that seems to have a reference is Charizard with a Zubat Golbat. And lastly, Celine, I think that's her name, with a Charizard based off of his original Gen 2 shiny. I love what they did with the trainers. Referencing all of the games that were out as of the time that this game came out, I think is phenomenal. I love the outfits, I love the different color schemes, but my god, missed potential on the Pokemon. Pokemon games come out in sets of 3. Most of the time related to colors. I think you see where I'm going. You just take the color schemes from the games. The Pokemon trainer itself you could keep completely intact and no one would argue, but just take the color schemes. For Leaf, give the shinies, please. Then, moving forward, you just take the games they're from. Ethan or Gold, we have Gold, Silver, Crystal. Put those on Ivysaur, Squirtle, and Charizard, you're fine. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, mix up the colors. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, put them on the Pokemon. Black, White, while there is no sequel, there is Kyurem, who's meant to be gray. Now we run into X, Y, and then there's no other game, but that would be Z for Zygarde. Again, a red, blue, and green color combo. You would just switch up the colors. Lastly, you have Sun and Moon with this like orange, a violet, and another black, since there's also black from Pokemon Black. And would you look at that? You have fun colors. You could make extra references. Maybe you took the violet from Moon and put it on Charizard to reference the original Gen 2 sprite. Or you put gold on Charizard for Gen 2 and reference shiny Charmander and Charmeleon. You could have extra references on top, but this alone adds so much more spice to Pokemon Trainer that is just lacking. Again, I love what they did with the actual Pokemon Trainers alts themselves, but the Pokemon are so bad. Next up is Diddy Kong, and these alts are pretty good. We have his normal outfit, one based off the versus competitive mode from Donkey Kong Country, one based off Dixie Kong, who is his girlfriend, one based off Donkey Kong Country 2's competitive mode, one based off one of the multiplayer alts of Donkey Kong 64, one based off of Baby Kong. It's not Baby Kong. You're not Baby Kong. What's your name? Tiny? No, not Tiny. You're not Tiny. That one from Donkey Kong Country 3, who basically replaced Diddy. One based off a real chimp, and one based off Donkey Kong Jr. I think, again, these are phenomenal. Replace the one with real life, and give us basically Super DK, but it's just Diddy instead, because that's also something that exists. I don't actually know if it has a proper name, but just Super Diddy Kong. Next is Lucas, and almost perfect in my opinion. We have Lucas' standard attire, one based off Klaus, his twin brother, two Smash Originals, one based off Maskman, one based off of, I don't pretend I remember his name, one based off Boney, and one based off of a baby little dragon. Well, personally, they could have altered the baby dragon outfit a bit. I think it's fine. I'm not gonna harp on it too much. It's one of those, like, little cute references, kind of like the tiles that Ness has, so I'm gonna leave it. But I am getting rid of the Smash Originals, replacing it with two other characters that definitely should get alts. Your other party member in Mother 3, and your mother from Mother 3. If you know, you know. Sonic. Sonic is interesting because I absolutely hate the alts, but in more modern games, Sonic is now actually getting alternate outfits within the games. I could take that as inspiration and have different outfits. Or we go with what they're going with. Most of these alts are relatively Smash Original, basically referencing the Chaos Emeralds at best, except we have a classic Sonic and Silver inspired skin. Reference the rest of the hedgehogs in his franchise. Shadow's right there. He has a model in the game, for crying out loud. Amy, Metal Sonic. We have Darkspine Sonic from Secret Rings, a Nintendo exclusive Sonic game, for crying out loud. And lastly, another crossover reference from Lost World. There was DLC based off of Skyward Sword with an open world level. It was way before Frontiers at that. And he's wearing Link's iconic tunic. I think that'd be a fun extra alt to throw in there. But, like, such missed potential. The entirety of Sonic's representation in Smash is absolutely missed potential, and that is a whole other debate and topic for another day. King DDD actually is interesting because I think DDD doesn't have outfits, but just gets redesigned like every game. So it feels like DDD has a lot of designs, but outfit-wise, it's the same one. So we have his standard attire, one based off one of the alternate outfits you could find in Kirby 64, one based off one of his alts in Air Ride, another based off an alt in Air Ride, a Smash Original, one based off of the Game Boy screen, another one based off an alt in 64, and another one based off an alt in Air Ride, also a real-life penguin. I'm going to keep one from Kirby 64 and one from Air Ride. Also, they have fun patterns that I like. Well, I'm also going to reference the original Game Boy Color palette because it does match with Kirby. Instead, DDD has had many boss appearances, and in Kirby games, a lot of bosses end up having some form of extra version with a recolor. And while Forgotten Land has some fun alts, that was developed seemingly way after Ultimate, so it wouldn't be in the conversation for this. I can't excuse it like I could with some of the previous ones. But we have Dark or Shadow DDD. I believe this is Dark DDD. Then Parallel DDD. DDD, I think it's just EX DDD. He's had purple attire in a few games. And I know it's in his final Smash, but if Little Mac has every entrance have him remove his little jacket, but like 4 of his alts he still has it, I think it's fine if DDD has a mask on for one of his alts. It's iconic. So Olimar has 4 alts to himself and 4 shared with Alf, the captain of Pikmin 3. And funny enough, I actually like all of Alf's, but not all of Olimar's. It's funny how it works out. For Olimar, we have his standard appearance. Then we have 3 originals, which seem to maybe be based off of like real life outfits that some astronauts might wear or something. I'm not sure. Then we have the captains, of course, from Pikmin 3, Alpha, Charlie, and Brittany, and another one based off of Olimar. And while I usually would say this is just dumb, I actually really like it because, as you can see with the artwork, Olimar's outfit tends to vary a bit from game to game, either it being a very yellow or a lot more saturated going on to white. So, kind of referencing both with the variants between those two alts, I really like that. So I'm only getting rid of the Smash Originals and replacing them with references to Louis, the President, another playable person in Pikmin 2, and Olimar's wife. Next is Lucario, who has actually all Smash Originals, and I can't make this up. While you could argue some of these are based off of things, no, they're not. They truly aren't. There's all these Lucario's standard appearance, so they're all going away. We are making Lucario from the ground up in this instance, and I'm so happy about that. For one, the Shiny. Why? Why is it not one of the alt selection? Next, while it showed up in Pokemon Unite, it is very common to associate Lucario with the Aura Guardian and the character. I don't remember the name. This is an alt that perfectly depicts the idea that I would like to go with in Smash. And lastly, in Pokken, Lucario's Player 2 outfit is a red, which got some decent merch for, so I think it's okay to have that as an alt as well. And while again, this is the same logic as like DDD, if he can have, you know, in Little Mac, like, I think Meg Lucario's fine as a separate alt because it looks cool and it's close enough to where I don't think it's that much of a work. Again, model does exist. Then you could have the Shiny, a red one. This doesn't exist yet, but could. And lastly, because Pokemon Unite has a lot of fun alts, this one seems to be most popular from what I could see, and this is like an Egyptian-inspired Lucario. Next is Rob. Somehow has references for all of his alts, which I didn't realize. So, fun fact, if this was any other region, I would be having his second alt first, because in regions that are in America, his Famicom alt is the default, while the NES is the second, but in like America, where we did get the NES version of Rob, the gray alt is the one we get. All that to say, we have his NES design and his Famicom design. Then we have two based off enemies from games Rob was compatible with, one based off of the signature Violet GameCube, one based off one of the enemy Robs from Subspace, one based off of what seems to be one of the fun colors of the SP, and one based off the Virtual Boy. As much as I love the Brawl reference, there's such a better one, and while I do like referencing Rob's games, he is still a piece of tech in like real life hardware, so I'd like to reference other hardware. I know it's weird because he does have games, but like, do they really count if he's just a controller? For alts, 1. The Ancient Minister is just a Rob. Spoiler alert for like a decade-old game. It's just a Rob. It is the Rob you end up playing as. Having a color scheme based off of this, or heck, go as far as to give this just like functioning moves and be it just another costume, like that'd be awesome, but I doubt it. That's your Subspace reference right there. Don't give us one of those thousands of Rob enemies you end up fighting. And then get some color schemes from the other consoles. Nintendo Switch has a very distinct color scheme with a blue and red usually associated with it, so I like to see that because you can have a primarily black Rob with blue, like the sign and the red accents. Ooh, chef's kiss. Game Boy could have that green. And the Wii U, while it's all black again, the blue would very much highlight it some places. And yeah, I think Rob just referencing the hardware of Nintendo is all it has to be, because that's all it really is. Its moveset covers its game functionality with the little top, and its turning. Like, you don't need to reference the games themselves because they barely had substance to begin with. That's just my take. Next is Toon Link. And, you know, while all the links kind of share the monochromatic tunic colors, this is the one time it works because of Four Swords. Link, you have his standard, you know, Wind Waker design, then the red, blue, and purple from Four Swords, which has that Wind Waker art style. Then you have one based off his original NES design, one based off Dark Link, one based off of what he would look like if he was holding one of the items. Again, it's another one of those like ring things. And one based off what looks to be the art from, I think it's A Link to the Past. Well, they do reference stuff. Wind Waker Link, like this design, this art style, has its own unique, like, outfits and stuff they could be referencing. I don't get why they chose not to. Like, it just seems weird that they're referencing other parts of the franchise when normal Link and young Link could very much fill that void since you have 3 Links. Like, you could reference specific things with some of them, that's all I'm saying. In this case, from Spirit Tracks, we have his little conductor outfit. And I mean, again, the model literally exists. It is in a stage in the game. And then lastly, Triforce Heroes was an interesting game because it was, again, costume-based. So you could pull costumes from there. I'm not saying full-on take the costume, but like a pink one inspired by the, I believe it's called the pom-pom outfit. I also think it's the first outfit, like, unlockable in the game, which is why I put it. Honestly, most of the outfits would do. And there are a few that do reference other Nintendo properties. This one references the Hammer Bro from Mario. I just think it'd be fun. Again, that crossover reference is always something nice and hard to find. So there's a canon one. I think I might as well take the opportunity and use it. And Wolf. Surprisingly enough, I think Wolf has had more, like, redesigns than the other Star Fox characters, and he's appeared in, like, half as many games. So we have Wolf's standard appearance from, like, Star Fox Zero. He has, like, other outfits. I believe this is, like, Starlink. Then we have one based off of one of Star Wolf's comrades. We have a blue one from one of his other player options if you play the multiplayer mode of Star Fox Assault, and a green one from the same reason. Smash Original, one based off his Star Fox 2 design, and one based off the last member of Star Wolf. Actually, you're missing one. For crying out loud, why is there Smash Original? Give us another, like, a green fur and like, this purple. Just, come on. I'm hoping I was able to speed through this a bit faster than I did with Melee's roster, and I think it's actually about the same. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. It was a ton of fun looking for the Brawl roster and seeing all their outfits and what they were referencing. Funny enough, I think Brawl probably has the strongest selection as of now in terms of references. Though there were some, like Lucario, where I had to fix a ton, a lot of them actually ended up having some really strong and deep cuts. So I'm really happy with that. And moving forward, I assume Smash 4 and Ultimate are going to have a lot better references and a lot more of, like, you know, perfects. But who's to say? Because we're not there yet. But we will be soon, so make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, do all that fun stuff. Because then you'll stay up to date, get to see the rest of this series when it comes out. And it'll be coming out soon, don't worry, I'm not going to prolong it. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. So, I'm going to thank you all so much for watching again, and wish you all a lovely day.